He is amusing. He's so funny. He just forgot. He forgot
Spell
Phil's
the
name. Yeah. When it's not being streamed into the group, we'll pick that back up. We should be live, Ever.
name. Good.
Let me double check. We
I
are.
see us.
All right. Oh look, we've got someone hearting it already. We are going to do some questions. Here's where I would suggest that you want to listen to this. This is Heather. Heather, I'm going to intro you properly in a minute. Um, if if you're just launching your first ever actual business yourself, if you have a family and have some fears about being overwhelmed, stressed, missing family time, but like actually do want to hit some decently big numbers as well. So Heather, do you wanna say hello and just tell us a bit about, like, I don't know, not just the last year, but maybe the last 20 years, I guess I think it is, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, hello everybody. I'm Heather. I have been a Fit Pro for 22 years now. I was at a gigantic company. I live in the United States and was there for 21 years. Exactly a year and a few days ago, last January, I left that company and knew that I wanted to do something out of my own and had launched myself into my own business and was going to work with people online because I knew that that was kind of the way of the future. And I was tired of being in the gym in that place, and so I started and got connected with you just a few months in.
All right. How did we get connected in the end? How did we get introduced?
do, you, do you remember my first reach out to you was like, thank you, I really like your PTD app, and you're like, I don't exactly work for them, and I was like,
Do you know,
what?
do you know how many times it actually does happen? So I have to make it. I
It's
have to be
got
kind to
to.
people. I'd be kind to people. So I'm like, look, you're not the first. You literally weren't the first. I'm like, no, that's Tim Say is posh, and he lives in
Mm-hmm.
a castle. So like, I'm not. I'm the not posh one. He lives in a big castle and has like butlers and that. That's how you can tell the difference.
And so for me being, in a different country, I had been shopping online platforms, right, for my new business that I had already created. And I had chosen PT Distinction. And then I think because of your involvement with, knowing them and that kind of thing, I started seeing some of your posts. And then as the story goes, you were speaking straight basically to my heart and into my head. Like I was like, oh my gosh, finally somebody understands what I've been screaming from inside my body for really years at the fitness
What was
club.
that particularly? Do you remember?
Yeah, I have a side story about this. So 21 years, it actually served me really well in a lot of ways, in the sense that three children, I can work 12 minutes from my house. Like there's a lot of benefits. You're wearing, I call it the uniform is always like fitness gear. So you're wearing pajamas to work. Like there's a ton of great things.
Because you were also making good money, right?
Yes, in the sense that I was a top performer in the region for sure, in some niches in the nation for that company. Um, and fine for us. My client said to me, a client and friend and kind of advisor for me, and was really instrumental in me actually taking the leap. This is my side story. Said to me, because I was like, I have 21 years of experience, but as I was looking to leave, my resume said personal trainer, personal training department head, personal training leader, like all these things for 21 years. And I was like, what does that even tell anybody else outside of what we think we're amazing and helping people? And okay, he said, do you have 21 years of experience or do you have 1 or 2 years of experience 15, 20 times? And that's called a stinger in my world. I have to like prep people sometimes for stingers. And I was like, then I was mad. And then I was like, well, and I had to think about it. And to be honest with you, with the kids and having babies and being able to run my own schedule and wear the black, pajamas and all that kind of stuff that was beneficial. I probably had 10 years of experience twice. I felt stuck, and I didn't feel, for our family especially, I didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. And it was super frustrating to me that I have all this experience and I have in the top of the game, in the fit pro world, and I was still struggling on the home part of it and tired. And I felt burnt out.
You were billing decent money for the club, right?
Yeah, I was $104 an hour. I was running large groups that paid me more than that per hour when I would stand in front of them and coach them. Not group fitness, not aerobics classes. I was doing that also. That was a supplement because I love having a microphone and being on stage and coaching, but large group personal training classes also, because I was trying to figure out ways to make more money in the small amounts of time that I have. And any fit pros out there that are parents know that you can make more money if you put more time in. But as a parent, the kids go to school at this time and they get off the bus at this time. There were so many days I am watching that clock and I am running out of the club to try and beat the bus home. I can't tell you how many times I'm parked behind the bus because the lights are flashing and the sign is out and my baby's getting off the bus and I barely made it home. That feeling of I can't put more hours in because I have to come home. And so I knew that I had tapped out, even though it's a premier company and I can charge good rates, and it was frustrating.
Yeah, I think it sort of reminds me of what Amanda said as well. She was working for a big company in the States, like billing out at crazy money, but not seeing most of it. And it was like, and I think you said this to me, it was like,
over half,
I
or about half.
Yeah, yeah, it's great, but hang on a minute, I've been building their business for the last 5 years, 10 years ish.
21 years.
Yeah.
It came down to what happened to me is I had for a long time, because I had been in management, then I stepped out when Jake was born and he's 17 now. And so I had spent this chunk of time just kind of doing my own thing, personal training and teaching. And I was ready, I was ready for more and I was ready to do more for them. I had raised my hand and said, what's my next step? And honestly, what happened was they had basically said, well, you get an assistant position, then you do this. And I was thinking, I did that 10 years ago. Where am I going now? And I started thinking about it. I thought in 2, maybe 3 or 4 years, I can get, maybe it's the position that I want to have. Now, this is before COVID and all the alls, right? Thank the Lord that I made the decision I made before all that. But the reality for me was, or I can go out and in 3 to 4 years, what kind of business can I have for myself? Because I don't want to build somebody else's dream anymore. I want to build mine.
Keep talking. I'm just seeing if anyone's interacting while we're
so
talking.
That's what I did. So I decided in July, not this July, but July of 19, that I was leaving. And it took me 6 months to kind of get my...
That was a big, brave jump, right? So what was I want to say what was the lessons of the first 3 months, but what was that experience like for the first 3 months of doing it?
One lesson I think that is super important is when I was about ready to make that move, and it's not like I hadn't thought about it before that, right? I had thought about it. I actually looked at buying a small gym, like a little studio thing, right? And thank goodness I didn't do that. But what happened for me, and I think that a lot of people can relate to this, is that the fear of staying so stuck was more painful than the fear of the leap into the unknown. And that is what finally just tipped me over the edge to create the change. So now I've turned my letter of resignation in. I'm done with my 2 weeks of, wrap it up thing. I wasn't kicked out right away. They wanted it to be awesome. And so I walked out with all kinds of hugs and love. It was very nice. And then all of a sudden I was out there, but I couldn't talk about my new business. I couldn't, I knew what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to do more coaching because I knew that it was really the missing link. That yes, people need movement. Yes, they need to work on their food, but it was the stuff that I was working with on clients that was the one-on-one intimate part of it that was really making the difference. And I want to do more of that and less of the reps and sets and macros and those sort of things, which I still do. Anyway, so I had started doing it, and that's why you spoke so clearly to me. Was one, you'd already done what I'd been doing, and so when you hear about other network, or not network marketing, but other marketers, it wasn't the same relating, because they were talking about something different. It wasn't like, I was in the gym, I worked with clients, I understand that, you know, they're not seeing results not because of my program, but because of other things, but then we don't talk about some of those things when we're in the gym, you know. And so I knew that where I was headed, didn't have any systems, didn't have any support, was kind of this little island. And I was used to being the mayor of the gym, like, and now I'm by myself. So it was this. And when people, I now hear other people talk about, you know, I've done this program with this person, I've done this program with this person, or this was a terrible experience or whatever. I am like, oh, hi, who are you? You work for PTD? No, I don't work for PTD. Oh, what do you do? I had no idea what you did. All I knew,
English guy.
Not even kidding. Yes. And I don't even know what exactly you do. And I'm on the phone with you, but I knew that you were speaking directly to me. And then the more I just kind of stumbled into, you know, posts pretty much that you were putting out, there was just more of it. And I was thinking, what is the deal? And so then, yeah. So it was about 3 months, January, February, March.
You built up to like 3 and a bit grand in 1 month, was it? Was it January, February, March, one of the months?
I'd have to look back. January was tiny, like a grand.
Yeah.
But it was half I was done the 17th of January. So I really was just out on my own for the second half of that month. February was like 3, March was bigger, it was like 6. Then it dipped a little bit in April, but then we started, and then it was climb, hold.
So if someone wants to like really go into like the idea of maybe even that they're already online and maybe not charging enough, or know that they want to charge high ticket, what would be some of your sort of suggestions or input about like actually what can they do to go and see themselves as a behavior change coach? Like what is it that you've found success with your clients? And I mean, they can just sit here and read all our stuff or listen to all our stuff, but maybe some of the things that you were surprised about.
In my journey, you mean, in this change,
like
or
your clients? Yeah, now like you were someone that when we started, it's like you were really powerful. Maybe that's a bit of the wrong word. Influential, a really good person to be around in the gym. Like just someone that everyone knew and wanted to be influenced by. And there's a lot of people like that who love the gym. They love that environment. And then all of a sudden they're online with someone and they just literally have no clue. And to be honest, I think what's happened this year that's been different is me and Phil sat down. We're like, okay, so who are we talking to? Last year it was like 90% of people haven't been online. This year, 90% of people have. Almost everyone has had to. So they've at least given it a go, which is not the case. When I started, my God, no one was hardly doing it. So it's like, well, they've experienced it. And to be honest, if you experience doing online and it's maybe haven't been given the guidance, it sucks. It sucks because no one does anything you say. And then you're like, oh my God. And they're not doing what I say. They're not getting the result. I'm not even training them. Like, what the hell is going on? And pulling your hair. Well, I don't know. This is what I see anyway.
I was a little bit more like you in the sense that it wasn't really happening because it wasn't COVID yet, right? So I started in January, COVID hit in the United States, really shut things down around St. Patrick's Day, so middle of March. Okay, so it helped people figure out Zoom, figure out how to talk like this because they needed to do it with their grandkids, they needed to do it with their work or whatever, right? But I think a lot of fit pros that weren't already like had ejected themselves from wherever they were before in-person training, they started doing like Zoom workouts, or they were doing okay, Tim, I'm going to have you, pick up that 10-pound dumbbell. Yeah, we're going to do some curl presses, or, well, I was doing, what would be considered like a hybrid. Like I knew that I wanted to do behavior change coaching. I didn't call it that. I wanted to do like coaching, but I was still seeing some people like in their garage or in their basement initially, right? And then when COVID hit, then I was like, well, we have to do this way. And so I do have like literally 6 clients that I still do some of that. Okay, where's the red band? Yeah, wrap it around the banister. Here we go. You know, but I knew that that was it. And those are the people that I call my ride or diers. Like I kept some of those people because I've been training them for 20 years, 15 years, literally, right? So, anyway, but I don't consider those like I love them. I consider them, but that's not who I'm talking about. So I think that people have a confusion, I think, around that's not what I do, right? That's not what you do. We don't necessarily tell people to move. Like if I write a program for somebody, I'll watch them maybe do some reps of something to make sure it looks good for their program, but they're self-directed. They're doing that on their own, which is what I love, is that they don't need me there to do their stuff. And that empowers them. And then around that fitness piece of it is all the other pieces that we do. So to get back to your question, is I had a lot of it was a lot of newness in the sense that I knew that I didn't want to be like just personal training through a screen, but sometimes the clientele didn't get that because they were still viewing me as a personal trainer, right? Because I didn't have any marketing, I wasn't doing anything. I was just reaching out direct and saying, hey, you know, how you doing with your fitness stuff? The gym is closed, blah, blah. We're off tangent now. Say it again.
All good. We were talking now. I tell you what stands out to me. It's like if we compare that to now, we're jumping forward. You said there they didn't know. It seems like more recently people have actually been sort of starting to understand more about what you do, although they don't, do they? But they are reaching out and talking about things like I resonate with what you've been saying, and it makes sense. And I know I need to, a little bit like you said about us. It's like actually there's a big difference in price point, etc. And I do want to keep it like, and I guess for you there's a big difference in confidence that knowing you can get results with a big amount of your clients, like really the results that are worth $3,000.
Yeah. For me, it was the learning as I was earning. So you're never going to have all the pieces, right? Like you're not going to have the thing built. You're not going to have all the words to say. You're not going to know exactly what next week does or needs to be for your client. And that's fine. And so one thing you and I have talked about, and Phil and I have talked about, is that ability to be like, okay, let's just keep moving forward and give this a whirl. And it's that keep taking the leap thing. Because you don't have it all figured out. So my confidence grew from doing.
Saying that you use a lot. I'm just checking we got some questions.
My phrase is take the leap and learn to fly on the way down.
Yeah.
And that's what I did last year.
Do you think that served you a lot?
Yeah, and what's interesting is it continues to serve me. It's not gigantic. It's not leave your job of 21 years, not have 6 months of income in the bank, not have 3 months of income in the bank. Like all I knew was it's going to work. And I was lucky to have a husband to say, you can do and be anything you want to be. I totally believe in you. Because he was probably crapping his pants. He was probably like, what the hell is she doing? I was carrying the insurance. I don't know what insurance is like for you, but the company was paying for our health insurance for five of us and this family of teenagers playing hockey and competitive cheerleading. Like, it's scary. So it was a huge risk, but it was
300 euros a year. Is that right?
No.
But that's how much
yeah, no, like $1,000 a month.
Yeah. I was being facetious.
Okay, I don't know. See, I don't know.
You poor Americans. All right, I'm just putting the plug in. So, why do you think it also serves your clients, your marketplace, even the clients that are going to work with you this year and next year and in 5 years, being able to just accept that leap and figure it out as you go down?
Why does it serve them?
Yeah. Your clients now, the clients you're going to work with in the future, the impact and the audience that you're building, and even if someone doesn't even buy your stuff.
Yeah. From my perspective, it's that piece of don't wait, right? Like if I were to wait until I had like my back end program right now built, I wouldn't have anybody in there. I've got 2 people in there right now. It's partially done. It's not complete, right? And I'm okay with that. If I would have waited to feel like I was going to charge a certain number um or have confidence in my own abilities until I had 3 videos of testimonials. Have you seen a testimonial video of mine yet? No, because it doesn't exist. I haven't done one yet. I have them, but they've not been cut, they've not been edited, they've not been put together yet, right? So um is that good or bad? That's a whole different conversation. But the I don't those people wouldn't have been helped. The results still came. Like I've already helped. I don't know the exact number. That's part of my homework that you gave me recently, was to put the number together of how many people that I've impacted in the lives that have been changed. And it's not even a number that you can even accurately give, because I can tell you that the difference that you guys have made in my life, you've impacted directly 5 people, myself and the rest of Team Meek, right? And I know that my impact has been to my direct client, and I can name those people, their loved ones, that it has directly impacted also. So to wait till it's all figured out, you just gotta take the leap. You just gotta do it, because
Do you
you're holding
enjoy?
back. Do I enjoy work?
Do you enjoy what you do?
Yes. It takes energy, but not as much energy as I thought it was going to take, and not as much energy as the gym took. Hands down, night and day, black and white.
One of the things that we talked about is like the fears people have of, like, especially when someone's in your situation. Um, do you know where I am, by the way, right now?
Yes.
Which is
I
where?
can't say it. I can't say it right, but Medellin.
Yeah. It's like I just decided and I just jumped on a plane and bowled over here. I was meant to be
Mm-hmm.
going back later, but I just decided I'm just going to go back early. It's like, I think some people, when they build an online business, it's like, oh, I'm 20. I'm not 20, but sometimes I act like it. But it's like, um, my point is when you're just you and you've working in the gym, it's very different from when you've got responsibilities, structure, family, children, church responsibilities, community stuff, all this stuff going on, and it can feel really. It can. It's the fear of it being really overwhelming, or like
Yes.
maybe because I think for you that was I felt that when we were coaching right at the beginning, that there was I know they're not real, but that doesn't mean that you don't, and I can just tell you, but you have to experience that to realize like it's like I can get this without these things, without
I
being
didn't
over.
believe you.
I know you didn't.
I trusted you, and I took the faith leap in. Well, what's your other option, Heather Ann? Like you hired this guy. He's giving you some information here. So I took it and ran with it, but I didn't see it. I didn't see how I could make that kind of a living, earn that kind of money, and not just be on grinding and
How
being
have you?
tired.
Like, I think I'd like people to hear how have you? Could you think of like 2 or 3 things that you've done over the year that's allowed you to do that?
To not get burned out and not get run over.
Yeah, for context,
Mm-hmm.
average of the last 3 months' income.
So it was over 10 the last 3. It was like closer, it was over 14. So
So
average, I would say
14,
over 12.
14, and 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 12.
It was 10 and over, except for December, since July. I hit my
Yeah.
first 10 in July, and then it was
So,
10 or over.
look, by the way, anyone who's listening, you work hard still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not just sitting there like drinking Mai Tais and, you know,
No, I've been going since 6:30 this morning, and I was up
yeah,
before
you
that for
work
myself.
hard.
So yeah, yeah.
So, but like, what are some of the things that you've learned and done that's allowed you to make that transition?
Yeah. Early on, we talked about less doing. And so one of the big things for me is to quiet the buzz, right? It's the morning time that I spend that's just mine. So I purposely get up early so that I can think straight before somebody walks down and says, Mom, will you make me 2 fried eggs? She's 10. Right. And so, because she's now in the buzz, because she's got to get to her Zoom and my kids are doing school from the house here. So there's a whole bunch of us in here on the Wi Fi. But I need that space. So that was one of the first things that you and I talked about was, what are you going to take out? And I was like, I don't even know. I can't take anything out. All these things are super important. It's a mindset piece. It's looking at things differently and recognizing that all these things that you feel like you need to do. Oh, do you really need to do that? Like, what do you need to do before you talk to that client? How many times have you written a program so that you could be organized and look professional, look super smart, and have all their stuff together? And then you get to the session, even in the gym, and you've scratched a whole bunch of stuff out or on your iPad or whatever, changed everything because they presented differently, right? So whether it's client stuff or even in my home, it was, you don't have to do all the things. So that was a big thing for me.
There's
Um,
three there, by the way. I think the morning structure
mhm,
is really important that people listen. It's like we
mhm.
teach level two a morning. We're not allowed to call it the morning formula because
I'm calling it the morning method.
yeah, I like that. TNF will tell us off if we call it the morning formula. We're not allowed to. What did we
Right.
call it? We called it something anyway, but it's that part in the morning.
Hmm.
Um, this is huge, and this is why I'm repeating it, by the way, because I want people to understand. Most people think when they want to go and build a business, like, I want an online business, what do I put in? It's like, it isn't. It's like, and I said that to you earlier, and I know it doesn't make sense at first, like, what are we
Mm-mm.
going to take out and take out and take out? And then the last thing you said there is right. It actually serves the client because all that stuff often actually just overcomplicates it and overwhelms. I mean, you're saying it feels overwhelming if I do too much in my business. Clients feel exactly the same way. Like, if you can
I
complicate.
don't know how many times you said, well, you literally said it to me the other day. Focus on what you got to focus on, or don't worry about that. Phil wrote one time, I was in our group and I wrote something and he's like, "You're not worrying about that now, Heather. Don't even worry about that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, praise the Lord." So I think also, to be fair, is that if you're a newbie, you sometimes need to be given permission to let go of some of those things because you don't know which things to let go of and which things you need to zero in on. And that was super helpful. That's having a coach though. And so the brush stroke over all of this for me, and I wrote it in the group yesterday, was I am best with a coach. I'm not broken. I'm amazing. I can figure it out, but I got there faster, with ease, with more, without being overwhelmed. And I have something built along the way. So that is the piece where I'm just like, hey, raise my hand. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be focusing on. I feel scrambled, right? And I didn't feel
Do you
scrambled.
feel different now in the last 9 months? Do you think you've changed a lot of that?
Yeah.
Do you think you've changed as a person?
Yes. I love it when you ask me that because you already know the answer to that.
Let's try not to
Yes,
smile.
I know. It's hard. It's freaking hard. It's hard. The work on myself part. That's been the hardest part. And I think that it, for me it's exciting because I've always loved personal development stuff. Like I've always been that. Like if somebody says, "Oh, so what do you like to read?" I'm always reading personal development books and people are like, "What?" I don't read history. I don't read, I don't, that's always been my thing. Like leisure reading, that would be what I'd be into. And so I like stuff like that. What I wasn't fully prepared for was the mirror, whether it was your gigantic mirror that I was constantly put in front of, right? Or the mirrors that you see every single coaching call when I'm working with people. Um, and that's there's some great work in that, but it's a huge benefit. It's a huge benefit. Nobody wants to feel stuck, whether it's with business or with a relationship or with your own personal fitness or in your own development. And I felt that way. I was in a box doing the same thing over and over again. We're going to do another turkey workout. We're going to do another ring the bell 12 days of Christmas workout. Like I was like, I am 45 at the time, 46 now years old. I've done that workout 7 million times. And it's the same people doing the same workouts with me. And so that's a side tangent, but that I was just so, it's been such a breath of fresh air because now I'm also improving myself, but I have this ability to impact other people in a way that is
I have
so
listened
much
to them,
more.
by the way. I'm just seeing if there's anyone interacting and saying hello. We've got Sarah saying go Heather, and we have I think Ali
Is Ali still there?
internship as Ali might still be there, and maybe Kristen as well. Maybe even Kristen. I don't know. We'll see. They were popping in. What are you excited about?
I'm excited about this next year. I'm excited about continuing to evolve and create, and that it's mine, and that I feel like the sky's the limit, where I feel like that ceiling that I kept jamming my head against, I was just banging against this ceiling, it doesn't exist anymore. And what's really interesting for the girl that's wanted to climb the corporate ladder and always be, you know, excel and be the thing, and I'm going to change the world. I don't know if I need to change the world. I may still, but it's not this feeling of drive, drive, drive. It's, oh, what does this year look like? And part of it is proving to myself that
It feels less
I
heavy.
can do it. Oh, night and day, way less heavy.
What is the aim next year? This year?
In revenue,
Yeah.
bringing money in,
Yeah.
2K. That I have a 3-tier. I'm a big 3-tier girl, so that's my. I have a number called my kick ass. This is my kick ass number. I have a have to number, the number that, okay, hello, I would love to, I need to hit this. I want to hit this for myself. I have a have, or a, this would be nice goal. And then I have my kick ass
And the
goal,
kick-off one is what? 200.
200,000.
When we did this at the beginning, when we started working together, what were those three numbers?
It was, the have to was 60. Okay. Which for everybody's, you know, reference was $5,000 more than I made at the big box gym, charging big money, working bell to bell 5 days a week. And it was 5,000 more than I made before. So I had made 55 that year in 2019, and I wanted to do more than that because you're starting a business. It'd be nice to make a little bit more money than where you left, right? And then the next number was 85, and then my kick-ass number was 100. And like you said, when we had built that, when you said, well, why don't you put, like, what are you trying to do? Because I didn't come into it with big numbers because I felt blind. And I hear you guys when you ask questions like that to newbies, because you don't even know what's possible. And not that you don't know what's possible, because there's the Gavins and the Tim Drummonds and, you know, these other people that you see. You don't know what's possible for you, because I don't know what that kind of money looks like, and I don't know how that feels. And that was my biggest thing, was I don't care if I hit 100K, but I feel like that I haven't seen, like, my marriage is falling apart and my kids are, I don't see them, and I've missed hockey games and cheer. Well, there aren't any, but, like, you know, like some of those things, or we can't go to the cabin. I don't even want to be there. And you don't know what is even possible. So that's been a huge thing for me this year, was to be able to almost, I didn't stumble into it because I worked for it, but it started to happen. Like, all of a sudden in August I had hit my have to goal. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember you saying, how does that feel? And I'm like, good. And you're like, what? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then a month and a half later, I hit my, this would be great goal. And then it kind of got a little bit crazy, because I was like, oh, I could actually do this, because I had pretty much most of October, November, and then December left. And so did I think when we first talked about them back in June or July, I can't remember when we actually created that, I was throwing numbers out there and I had no idea what was even, like, I was just like, well, that would be kick ass.
Well, one thing that I've noticed about just the group, you're right. There are some guys there that are just beasts. Um, it's always good to have people doing the numbers that we want to do and more. Um, and people coming up as well. Some guys in there that are starting to really do some good shit. But I do think that there's, and I am interested in your perspective. I think the amount of females in the fitness industry is relatively low anyway. Um, it feels to me like there's a really good group. You got your own little cabal as well, haven't you? On WhatsApp, apparently.
It's
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger, but yeah, I don't have WhatsApp.
Yeah. Um,
Remember me over here in America?
like, do you think there are sort of separate challenges, and do you think that there are things that I'm going to say I think that women naturally bring to coaching? Some people might not want to think it's natural, and they might just think, well, it's evolved and it's environment, and probably it's a bit of both.
Hmm.
I feel that men just have to work much harder in certain aspects of coaching, like actually listen to someone, listen to your partner. I do. No, you don't. No, I
Right.
didn't. I'm not saying that I did. I didn't. I didn't. I never listened to
Right.
anyone. Um, I don't know. What's been your experience and like advice maybe as well, like to female coaches that that do have a big aspiration? Like, what do you have any thoughts? Do you agree with me, by the way, as well on any of that?
Yeah, because I'm a female and I only see it through my lens, I don't know how hard it is maybe for guys, right, to stop and listen. I think guys training females, I could see, the female side of it. Like you and I had to work at in our one-on-one coaching for me to be able to look you in the eyes and be like, okay, he gets me, like, and he's listening. Like that's just something that we had to do, right? Where maybe a female and a female, we just lean into each other a little bit faster and click and whatever. So when you talk about that little, tribe of women that we have in this internship that we've built, like when I came in, I don't remember if Allie was in like a minute before I was, or if I was in a minute before her, but we were kind of very similar. But Tony was the only female there. Steph, I think, was there, but we don't see Steph as much. Like I didn't know her as well. So I remember Tony being like, "Hey, welcome. It's so good to have some female energy in here." I was thinking, "Oh, huh." But then I could feel it, right? Like, oh my gosh, what a champion Tony is, right? And Steph, because like they've been doing this with a bunch of dudes, a bunch of guys this whole time, right? And so we just clicked, and I think we gelled that way. But it was a huge support because there's you want to do a good job and you want to be amazing for your clients, and at the same time you want to run a business, but we're really good and amazing with our clients, and then I need to come to you with some business things. And so it just feels like a little bit of a, I don't know, different energy potentially. But when I could call Tony and talk to her about some business stuff and talk to her about some client stuff, and then, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? It felt more natural. And so I don't know exactly how that feels for guys coaching women. Um, but as far as the ladies, and if you are more of a driver and someone's like, yeah, let's make a ton of money doing this, one, don't feel like you have to give up the family or the um, relationship or the fun in your life to do that. And I didn't, if I would have heard this, and I'm not offended for anybody that's like, yeah, whatever, I don't believe you. You can do it and you can feel it and make it happen. Because I did. I don't feel run over. I don't feel like I've given that sort of things up. Yeah, I've worked hard. There's been times where I maybe wasn't as attentive wife as I could have been. My house does probably live in a chaotic mess compared to some people's, but I don't feel like I can't make any more money because I have to sacrifice some of those things. And
Do you think there's some
So
things that
refreshing.
women are more naturally good at coaching?
Do I think women are?
Do you think there's some things that make women naturally more good at coaching?
Yes.
Such
I think
as?
I think that in general, we've listened to each other. I think that we're less like we're less in our own column because we have a lot of relatable things. I can relate to Amanda and Kristen in a heartbeat because of the kids, right? Like Luke has got his kids and he's awesome, and you can see him interacting, but it feels different. And women just have that thing. And I think the other big thing, and this is just coming out of me, it's not like I've really thought a ton about this, but I think we have the similar like fears. Like we want to be a really good mom and I want to have an amazing marriage. But then there's this pull where it's like, but Heather Meek wants to be kick-ass in business too and run an amazing business.
I
And
love
so then it gets weird. It gets weird for me. It's like, well, do I have to feel bad about that? What does that look like? And then how do I balance those two huge wants without falling into that guilty thing where it's like, well, of course you're going to run a huge business, Tim Drummond. Yeah, go do it. But then, oh, Heather, what are you doing? Are you going to run a huge business? Whoa, who's got your kids? Who's cooking meals? Who, I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly the same, but as far as coaching goes, there isn't a lot of ego, I think, with women. Like I feel like it's immediately, Tim, what do you want to work on? What's been frustrating to you? Where if I were to ask you that question, I think it feels different than if, what's that guy's name? Phil? I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Where if Phil, I'm kidding, Gavin. I'm totally teasing you. That if somebody come up and it was serious Phil, a man with a man, it might feel different. I don't know.
I think women are naturally better at listening. They're
Mm-hmm.
naturally better at it. They're naturally more empathetic. When I use the word natural, I'm doing it on purpose. Is it? My opinion is it is evolution, and
I think,
it's
and I think it's practice. I think we have just had to listen to each other more, like in day to day. Like I'm sitting next to somebody at hockey, and we're actually having a real conversation. Matt Meek, my husband, goes to hang out with his best friend, and I was like, "Hey, how is he doing? What'd you guys talk about?" And Matt's like, "Oh, what Minnesota Wild were doing," and like I was like, "Did you even ask him how his mom was? His mom has been sick, or whatever." And he's like, "No, why didn't we even talk about that?" And I was like,
it's
"So I think
interesting.
we have more practice."
Some of the work that we have to, I mean, it sounds like, by the way, if someone's a guy and they're watching this, it's not like, you know, there's just a big cabal of women just taking over things. Like, but I do
No.
think that most men, in general, to be honest, and I'm including myself, but also if you want to be a really good coach, a lot of men have to lose the want to just fix and tell people. That's what we
Mhm.
do. And to be honest, even taking it away from gender, that's what personal trainers do. That's
Yes.
a personal trainer's job. I'm going to tell you all the stuff that I know because I'm really clever and I'm just going to fix it because that's what I do. And I mean both male and female personal trainers. There's a
Yeah.
massive change within, and it's hard. It's hard, isn't
It's
it?
it's conditioned. Like I call it directive. Matt Meek has said, my husband, I call him Matt Meek. My husband has said to me, stop talking to me like a trainer. This is not recently, this is before, because I would leave the gym because you only had so much time. You're watching that time, you're either directing a bunch of people or you're directing a one-on-one client and you got a whole bunch of crap to get done and you're in director mode. Okay, let's grab this. Yep, okay, yep, I need you to go a little bit deeper. Weight's gonna push back a little bit, pull your shoulders back. Like you're in director mode. And I'd come home and I would still talk like that, right? Like it's very different. And I had to practice my way out of that type of coaching. And it's like what I keep talking about, the interview with Gavin yesterday morning, but it's it's like what he was talking about, where you even in our coaching, you get on the phone call and I have some questions and then you ask me a question back and I am like, give me the schematic, give me the agenda, where am I going? And it's not about that. And so
Annoying, isn't it?
oh, that and the smiley faces throw me over the edge. But at the same time, it's worked and it's fine and we're fine, so, and I'm fine. Like it works, and it's different, but it's a conditioning thing where in the training setting, that is how you are. And so I know as a newbie, I was coming in and I was talking in these coaching calls at people in the beginning too much. And it we talk about that ebbs and flows. You get that kind of figured out, but you're right. You have to listen and just let them figure a lot of their stuff out.
It's interesting
Like take
because,
some
like,
pressure off.
by the way, just so you know, when you ask me all those questions, most of the time I know the answer. I just actually don't want to give it to you, and I
I
want
know.
and it's really annoying. But I don't think that trainers quite that level is practice. It's not even,
Right.
by the way, be okay with not knowing. It's like no, but don't tell them. So well, that's just what
Right.
I've learned for the last 10 years, and then you realise like, yeah, I can tell them they'll get it wrong. It's like, yeah, they might get it wrong, but it will be good enough.
Hmm.
And as long as it's not stupid, wait,
And
like,
it's a dangerous place because, and I will tell you that I was very much like this and I fight this still today, is I want to be heard. I want to turn the light bulb on for them, right? Like I want to be like, oh my gosh, I totally know what to say here. And then I want to tell you all about it, right? And that's selfish. That's me wanting to, like you said, fix or be the one. The problem is when they don't come up with it and they don't turn their own light bulb on, it doesn't stick. And so I have to remind myself to step back and be like, well, what do you think about that?
do you think you do a different job now?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, totally.
Almost totally. Yeah. I'm not great at it yet, but I'm way better. And it's way different. And I'm getting it. Like it's not a, oh, here's all the stuff and now you just have to get good at it. It's a I'm getting it, and then you get good as you're getting it more and more. And I think that also comes from work on yourself too, as we've talked about a bunch also. Because why before did I want to be the right one? I wanted to be right, or I wanted to give them the answer. Why is that? It's because I'm getting something from it, right? Because I feel good about that. I can run around all day and just tell people fabulous things. We're addicted to that as a fit pro. We're off on a tangent. What do
No,
they
I'm
want
just,
to know?
no, I don't know. Should we have a look?
Yeah, what are they? Is anybody on? Couple.
Awesome,
There's a
Heather Meek.
lag.
You're such an inspiration. Love it. Amazing work. More intuitive. Christians saying all that. Ah, we've got Stephanie saying you rock, HM. You inspire me every day. And Mr. Howarth as well.
Mike, hi Mike.
Very cool. All right, 5 minutes. What should we jam on? Okay, I tell you what I want to finish on.
Oh
Your
my, okay.
energy that you brought to. We love talking sales. Why do we love sales so much?
I don't know. I like to make money. I'm addicted to it. I like. I don't know what it is
Don't
exactly.
avoid it. Don't avoid it because you like making money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad
Yes.
thing. You have a family.
Yeah.
You donated some money to
Church. Yep.
church. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Like what you had talked about before, like you can just pick up and go to Columbia. And um, what this year has provided me, one is freedom. Like I'm standing now because I bought myself a little standing desk so I can stand or I can sit over there at my desk. I can go down, I can be anywhere in this house and I can coach. I can coach my phone. I've done that in the parking lot waiting for a kid at the hockey rink. But I also picked up and went to Florida in the middle of the pandemic with my 5 people with the team Meek. And it's exactly what we needed. And it was awesome. And it afforded me things that I couldn't do for them before, like a nice donation to our church, which is important to my husband and I. we had a great Christmas. So the sales part of it for me, I don't hate, but I'm 21 years working 100% commission. Like there isn't a base pay, there isn't anything. It's you need to make more money, get more clients. If you don't care, then sit at the trainer's desk, So for me, I figured out a while back what that felt like, and then all of a sudden I was like, I kind of like it. So I don't know.
Tell us what happened on the close with the client that you brought in the other day after watching Gavin's interview.
The
You
the
told
one
us
that I let get off the call, and then
no, the one that you just posted in the group. Silence, silence, silence. Come talk through it. I actually want people to learn something from this as well.
okay, so I explain it's 12 weeks, blah blah, and try not to talk too much because that is my issue, because I've been watching my recordings, which, by the way, you guys record your sales calls and watch yourself. Just do it. And then for this particular gal, it was, yeah, that's a lot of money. It's more than I thought it was. And then there was something else. It was I need to talk to my husband.
Okay, so you're not hamming this up as much as.
And then I was like, well, when I tell you, when I talk to you,
what I saw, it was like, oh, that's more than I thought. What is the default for someone watching this when they're told that?
Oh well, yeah.
Here's the first
something.
default: is let me get off this call as quickly as possible because I hate this situation and they've rejected me and I'm a terrible person.
Or I don't know exactly what my program is because I'm new, and maybe it is too much money, and I thought, yeah.
And so we progress to a situation where, well, maybe when someone says, well, that's a lot of money, we don't need to just get off the call. We think we've learned a bit about sales. Slightly patronising me there. I'm being slightly patronising, but sorry. And it's like, well, yeah, and then you start explaining all the reasons why they're going to get a great result. It's like, will you go on a date with me? No. Please. I'm really funny. I'm really good, and I'm earn a lot of money, and I'm very handsome. So it's like, and then it's like, well, actually, I don't need to do that. And then the more you progress, and the reason I asked, by the way, is because I just thought it was a really amazing thing to hear someone say, and literally the same day or the next day, actually go and action it. And look, that client might have said yes or no, might have said yes anyway. But here's what I took from it. That's a lot of money. Nothing.
Silence.
That's way more than I thought. Nothing. I need to ask my husband. Nothing. Not even at that point, blah,
There's nothing, and anything you say it doesn't matter. Like, you just have to let them process, because I keep thinking, well, what are you actually saying here? Like, they're not saying anything. They're literally just like thinking it out and talking.
I need to go and ask my husband.
What happened after that? That's
Silence.
silence. And then she was like, that's where Tony came in with her awesome, like, I was like, now what do I do? Because I have that feeling of respect to the talk to Matt about it. It's not a little bit of money, blah, blah, blah. But the shift is, if you get off the call, then what? Like, what does that look like?
She can herself though, right?
Yeah. And then Gavin, Gavin's line of, well, okay, so yeah, it's a lot of money and blah, and then it's like, so should we just do this? Yeah, okay, let's go. And I was like, praise the Lord, here we go. I was like, let's just get past this part.
There was a reason I wanted to talk about that, partly because we like sales, but also it's like, everyone is scared of feeling icky when they do sales. And the key thing is that I think I'm formulating this idea of like, not me, but stolen it from Jocko Willink, discipline equals freedom. It's like, in that moment, it's the freedom to be able to just be very present. not panic. Not think, oh my God, they're making a judgment about me. Not thinking, oh my God, who was I ever to think I could do this and sell this? Oh my God, this person hates me. And it's just like, just freedom to be just present, and it's not you don't feel emotions, although, you know, eventually they process through and you don't get spiked.
Right,
And
right,
it's just
right.
like peaceful, and it's really advanced stuff, but, you know, silence. And like you said, let the person process it, and then eventually, you know, oh, I need to speak to my husband, and then silence, and then, well, actually, no, I hate doing that. I don't want to do that. You haven't said anything.
She's all mad. She's all mad. She's like, well, I hate that. To tell him, ask him. And I was like, silence. And I said, should we just do this? Should we just get it done? Yeah. She was kind of excited. And I was like, okay. Can we talk about one thing that is interesting about sales that we talked about yesterday?
Sure.
Is that icky feeling. And I don't know if maybe you've said this to me before back in May, but I didn't get it and I didn't feel it. But I will tell you that I felt, I mean, literally that thing, if nobody's posted this copy that Tim Drummond said to post 2.5 weeks ago, there's 9 triage calls and 8 sales calls that I've been processing through when I'm off because of this. And so I've had a lot of recent practice, which is nice. And thank you again, because nice to walk into the new year with people that want to talk about it. Like, I've literally raised their hand and said, I want to work with you, from your words. But my point is that I had a call and I let her off the phone. So this is before the lady we were just talking about. This is it was the end of December. And from that post that you posted, that told us to post, and it got icky. Like, it felt fractured at the end because she wanted to talk to her husband who wasn't home. He was ice fishing or something. Our lakes freeze here. The water freezes solid and we drill holes in it and we fish in it. It's called ice fishing. It's something. Her husband's ice fishing. I let her off the phone. I was specific about, you know, this fast starting bonus is only good through today. Let's pick a time when you let me know by, and it wasn't 24 hours. It was that night. So I held it to the day thing, but I did let her off the call, and you and I talked about all that whole thing. Here's what happened though. And you think you feel icky in that moment, and then you get off the call and you're sitting there going, blah. And sometimes it's weird, but Meek, our desks are like this, like I'm sitting here and he's sitting here. And so sometimes I'm getting off a call and he'll just kind of look over at me and he can tell, right? Like, I'm like, she got off the call. Like, it's a no, right? This is what happened with that girl though, is that what happened is she was a no, but she was a no then later over text because I was asleep. Like, I went to bed early that night. So she was going to let me know by a certain time. I wasn't up, like sitting there waiting, which is also disgusting. It's also gross and icky feeling. And I'm excited to get her started. She opened up to me. She's one of those doers that is always taking care of everybody else. And she opened up for the first time. She has to go talk to her husband because of whatever reason, really. And then through a text says, I can't do it. We can't afford it. Now what do I do? She won't get back on the phone with me because I think it's actually worse now, right? Like, I feel so bad that I had this amazing conversation with this person. We connected. I felt it. She opened up to me and was open for help because she's one of those women that just would never raise her hand for help. She said it. She said, like, I don't usually ask for help for anything. And now I feel like you would be very helpful to me. And I think this is what I want to do. And then we went through the trial closes and yes, and yes, and yes. And I've got her. And then, like, she's with me. And then exactly what you said to me on the phone is, you're like, well, that relationship is probably done. My point is that if you think it's gross right there when you're talking about the money and you're weird about it right then, it is 100 times more icky and horrible feeling when they say no over a text. And then what? And part of my thing is that these people that I talk to, a lot of them, they live in my community. I will see her at the grocery store at some point. I will run into her at Target at some point, and it is weird.
And I think, like, so, however, I know we've been on an hour, and so I'm going to let you jump off. Like, you know, just for context for people that are watching, maybe aren't as progressed with learning sales, is that the attempt to not be pushy and salesy ends up making it pushy and
Worse.
salesy. And
Oh,
so
it's awful.
what you need to do is you need to understand boundaries and structure. And as long as
Hmm.
you can do that, it then doesn't feel like that. And actually you finish calls where it's like, thank you, you know, this whole hour was really helpful, and it should be if you've got a proper
Hmm.
structure of how to have a conversation, um, and no one feels hurt, or it is when it starts you, and basically what that, I was going to say, I was trying to keep it a little bit more basic, but it's really you just coming out with this neediness. And I'm not saying
Hmm.
you, Heather, I'm just saying people. It's like
Hmm.
we need just to learn to bring strength. It's like we're the doctor. The
Yep.
doctor does not sit there and, when he diagnoses someone, and says, "Look, ask them all these questions," and then says, "A good doctor," for an hour, and then goes, "You know what? I think this is the problem. This is what you need to go and do. Like,
Hmm.
you know, we can do this, and I can help you through this treatment." And the person goes, "Yes," or they could say no. Doctor doesn't sit there and start stumbling over his word and start, "Oh my God, should I?" And I think that that is the biggest thing. It's like we have to understand we are the prize.
Hmm.
Heather, which country do you live in?
United States.
Yep, there's a reasonable amount of people in the United States that probably need some help around their health and fitness. There's probably a lot of people in England. In fact, there's probably a lot of people in the world, and there's not many good coaches. And I mean that there's not many good at all. And it's, I think the industry, considering that we help people transform, we help people improve, especially the really good people. It's like we've got this serious like lack of self worth. It's like this
Yeah.
idea that like we just say, oh, you know, I feel like Meek, like not you, Heather Meek, the other Meek, to saying
Hmm.
like to even say that, you know what? And there was a conversation in the group which I thought was really powerful from Phil today. It's like you can feel it even in the words that were being discussed, and you saw that. I'm
Hmm.
assuming it's like
Hmm.
it's almost like apologetic to go out and have conversations with people and offer them help. It's like I'm the prize here. Like you,
Yeah.
you. And by the way, this, take this in the right way if you listen. It's like you should be thankful that I'm offering to help you, and that's not said in a crazy egotistical way, but it's like when we
Hmm.
embody that on conversations and just moving in everyday life in our business, it's like as opposed to just like, oh my God, like there's such a lack of like opportunity or lack, and that does come down to a self-worth thing. It's like I'm
Yeah.
really good at and I think it's weird because I also think that a lot of fit pros do actually know that they're really good. They do
Right.
know they're really good. Yet something happens between that and the disconnect of like, if I get on a call, I don't care whether someone buys it or not. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. You can stay where you are. Like, but I'm also going to help someone see the reality. I don't know. Like, I'm going off on one. What's your
Yeah,
thoughts?
no, for me it's always been I don't want to coach you if you don't want me to coach you. Like what you said to me, it's a different topic, but what you said to me was, Heather, they're making an adult decision. It's not I like you or I don't like you. You're not, it's not Heather, you're smart or you're not smart, or it's nothing like that. It's all about them and their decision. And so it's separate. And I walk into these things like I'm like, why don't I have 7,000 people with their hand up right now? Because I could help them. No, there's a capacity thing. We can have that conversation. I don't know how to do that. But in the not the logistics of it, but just the feeling of it. Like, why not? Do people not like people in our group and the internship, the newbies, or do you not think that you can help them? Like, are you in a sales call and you're going, oh, I don't know what to do about that, I don't know what to do about that, and because the whole time I'm in there I'm thinking, okay, yeah, we can work on that, and that's going to be like, I have a hard time not doing the whole solution thing and just sitting back and being like, let's get started. I don't know, it's interesting because it doesn't I don't like, I feel like there, and believe me, there are times like in that call when I was like, oh, you're gonna like, because here's the deal, you guys, if they get off the call, they do not ever come back. It's a no. And so the sooner
I
that you can
think
figure that part of it out.
learning from Gavin's call was really strong. It's
Mm-hmm.
like just help people make a decision. It's all we need to
Yeah, and
do.
like what Tony said, yeah, just I recognize that it's either you didn't think it was going to be this much, or that you really don't have the money. You know, let's just decide on the phone, then it's a no.
All right, let's finish over one thing. What's one thing that you want to share from the last 9 months that will help people?
I would say don't wait till it's all figured out. That taking that step forward, that progress over perfection is your secret sauce. And that whole feeling of take the leap. You're gonna figure it out. You're not gonna hurt anybody. You're not gonna mess it up so bad that it's, especially anybody in our group, because we have a support system.
Awesome.
You would catch me. You would catch me if I was leaping into a sea of sharks, right?
You figure it out, and everyone always does. You always figure it out. People
Right.
do. And that's the thing, that they're fearful of stuff that's not even going to happen. And I also
Right.
think like we're also asking our clients to do this, like our fitness clients, they need to make a leap, and they'll
Mhm.
figure it out with, if they just didn't major in the minor,
Yeah.
they, that's the thing. So I think, look, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. Um,
Thanks, guys.
all right. Speak soon, everyone.
Okay.
Thanks, Heather. Speak soon.
Yeah. Thank you.